Remember, happiness is a precious gift. It's a fleeting moment in time that deserves to be cherished and savored. And sometimes the best way to do that is to simply shut up and let yourself feel it fully and completely. Hey there, have you ever found yourself in a moment of pure happiness, only to have it ruined by the urge to shout it from the rooftops? It's a common feeling, isn't it? When something amazing happens, we want to share it with the world. We want everyone to know just how great we're feeling. But here's the thing, sometimes the best thing you can do when you're happy is to simply shut up. Now, I know that might sound counterintuitive. After all, isn't happiness meant to be shared? Aren't we supposed to celebrate our victories and revel in our successes? Well, yes and no. While there's certainly nothing wrong with sharing your joy with others, there's also a lot to be said for keeping it to yourself. You see, happiness is a fragile thing. It's like a delicate flower that needs just the right conditions to bloom. And sometimes the act of talking about it can be the very thing that causes it to wilt. When you're in a moment of pure bliss, the last thing you want to do is overthink it. You don't want to analyze it or question it or try to figure out how to make it last forever. You just want to bask in it, to let it wash over you and fill you up from the inside out. But when you start talking about your happiness, you risk losing that sense of presence. You start to focus on the words you're saying rather than the feeling itself. You start to worry about how others will perceive your joy, whether they'll think you're bragging or being insensitive. And before you know it, that beautiful moment has passed you by. So what's the solution? How do you enjoy your happiness without letting it slip away? Well, the answer is simple: you shut up. You take a deep breath and you let yourself feel the fullness of the moment. You savor it like a delicious meal or a breathtaking sunset. You let it permeate every cell of your being without any need to put it into words. Of course, this doesn't mean that you should never share your happiness with others. There's a time and a place for celebration, and there's nothing quite like the joy of sharing a special moment with the people you love. But it's important to be intentional about it. Rather than blurting out your good news to anyone who will listen, take a moment to consider who you want to share it with and why. Maybe it's your best friend who has been there for you through thick and thin. Maybe it's your partner who has been waiting for this moment just as eagerly as you have. Maybe it's your family who have always been your biggest cheerleaders. Whoever it is, make sure that you're sharing your happiness with them because you genuinely want to, not because you feel like you have to. And when you do share your joy, do it in a way that feels authentic to you. Don't put on a show or try to make it into something it's not. Just be honest, be genuine, and let your happiness speak for itself. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters most, the feeling itself, not the words you use to describe it. But let's take this idea a step further. What if I told you that shutting up when you're happy isn't just about savoring the moment? What if I told you that it can actually be a key to unlocking even greater joy in your life? You see, when you're constantly talking about your happiness, you're essentially putting all your eggs in one basket. You're banking on that one moment, that one experience to sustain you. But the truth is, life is full of ups and downs. No matter how great things are going, there will always be challenges and obstacles to face. And if you've built your entire sense of happiness around a single moment or achievement, what happens when that moment passes? What happens when the novelty wears off? Or when you're faced with a new challenge? Suddenly you find yourself grasping at straws, trying desperately to recapture that feeling of joy. But when you learn to shut up and savor your happiness in the moment, you build a foundation of contentment that can weather any storm. You teach yourself to find joy in the little things, to appreciate the beauty of the present moment without needing to cling to it. And as a result, you become more resilient, more adaptable, and more able to find happiness no matter what life throws your way. So the next time you find yourself bursting with joy, take a moment to pause and reflect. Instead of rushing to share your good news with the world, take a few deep breaths and let yourself fully experience the feeling. Notice the sensations in your body, the lightness in your heart, the smile on your face. Let it fill you up from the inside out without any need to put it into words. And when you do feel ready to share your happiness with others, do it with intention and authenticity. Choose the people who matter most to you, the ones who will celebrate your joy without needing to make it about themselves. And express your happiness in a way that feels true to you, whether it's through laughter, tears, or simply a heartfelt smile. Remember, happiness is a precious gift. It's a fleeting moment in time that deserves to be cherished and savored. And sometimes the best way to do that is to simply shut up and let yourself feel it fully and completely. So go ahead, take a moment to bask in your own joy. Let it wash over you like a warm ray of sunshine, filling you up from head to toe. And know that no matter what happens next, you have the power to find happiness in every moment, as long as you're willing to look for it. In the end, that's what it's all about, finding joy in the present, no matter what the future holds. It's about learning to be content with what you have, rather than always chasing after what you don't. It's about appreciating the little things, the simple pleasures that make life worth living. And when you learn to shut up and savor your happiness, you open yourself up to a whole new world of possibility. You become more grounded, more centered, more at peace with yourself and the world around you. You start to see beauty in the everyday, to find joy in the most unexpected places. So the next time you find yourself bursting with happiness, remember this: it's okay to keep it to yourself for a little while. It's okay to shut up and savor the moment, to let it fill you up from the inside out. And when you're ready to share it with others, do it with intention and authenticity, from a place of true joy and contentment. Because at the end of the day, that's what happiness is all about. It's not about the big, flashy moments or the grand gestures. It's about the little things, the simple pleasures that make life worth living. And when you learn to shut up and savor those moments, you open yourself up to a lifetime of joy and fulfillment. So go ahead, take a deep breath and let yourself be happy. And remember, sometimes the best thing you can do is simply shut up and enjoy the ride. Let's dive a little deeper into this idea of savoring your happiness in silence. It's a concept that might feel foreign at first, especially in a world that often equates success and joy with external validation. We're taught from a young age to seek approval from others, to share our accomplishments and milestones with the world. But what if I told you that true happiness comes from within? That the most profound moments of joy are often the ones we experience in solitude? Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly, deeply happy? Was it when you were surrounded by a crowd of people, all clamoring for your attention? Or was it in a quiet moment of reflection, when you were able to tune out the noise of the world and simply be present with yourself? More often than not, it's the latter. It's the moments of stillness, of introspection, that bring us the greatest sense of contentment. And yet, we're so quick to rush past these moments, to fill the silence with chatter and distraction. But what if we learned to embrace the silence? What if we took the time to savor our happiness, to let it sink in and take root in our hearts? What if we allowed ourselves to be fully present in the moment, without feeling the need to share it with anyone else? It's a radical idea, I know. But it's one that has the power to transform your life in ways you never imagined. When you learn to find joy in the quiet moments, you become less dependent on external validation. You start to trust yourself more, to listen to your own inner voice, and you begin to build a foundation of self-love and self-acceptance that can weather any storm. But it's not always easy, is it? In a world that's constantly demanding our attention, it can be hard to find moments of quiet and solitude. We're bombarded with notifications, emails, and messages at every turn. We feel pressure to be on all the time, to be available and responsive to everyone who needs us. And yet, it's in these moments of quiet that we often find our greatest strength. It's when we're able to step back from the chaos of the world and simply be with ourselves that we're able to recharge, to refocus, and to find clarity and purpose. So how do we cultivate more of these moments in our lives? How do we learn to shut up and savor our happiness, even in the midst of a busy and demanding world? The first step is to make time for yourself. This might mean waking up a little earlier in the morning to enjoy a quiet cup of coffee before the rest of the world wakes up. It might mean taking a few minutes during your lunch break to sit in a park and watch the clouds go by. It might mean carving out time in the evening to read a book, take a bath, or simply sit in silence and breathe. Whatever it looks like for you, the key is to make it a priority. To recognize that your happiness and well-being are just as important as your work, your relationships, and your other commitments. And to give yourself permission to step back from the world and simply be with yourself, even if it's just for a few minutes at a time. The next step is to practice mindfulness, to learn to be fully present in the moment without getting caught up in thoughts of the past or worries about the future. This might mean paying attention to your breath, noticing the sensations in your body, or simply observing your thoughts without getting attached to them. It's a skill that takes practice, but it's one that can have a profound impact on your happiness and well-being. When you're able to be fully present in the moment, you're able to experience life more deeply and authentically. You're able to savor the good times and weather the bad times with greater resilience and grace. And finally, the key to savoring your happiness in silence is to cultivate a sense of gratitude, to notice and appreciate the little things in life that bring you joy, no matter how small or insignificant they might seem. This might mean taking a moment each day to write down 3 things you're grateful for. It might mean savoring a delicious meal or taking a deep breath of fresh air. It might mean looking up at the stars at night and marveling at the vastness of the universe. When you learn to cultivate gratitude, you start to see the world in a different light. You start to notice the beauty and wonder that's all around you, even in the midst of challenging times. And you start to build a reservoir of happiness and contentment that can sustain you through even the darkest of days. So the next time you find yourself feeling happy, take a moment to savor it in silence, to let it fill you up from the inside out without feeling the need to share it with anyone else. And know that by doing so, you're not only deepening your own sense of joy and contentment, but you're also building a foundation of resilience and strength that will serve you well throughout your life. It's not always easy, I know. There will be times when the urge to share your happiness with others feels overwhelming. There will be times when the world seems to demand your attention, your energy, your time. But remember this, your happiness is your own. It's a precious gift that belongs to you and you alone. And when you learn to savor it in silence, to cherish it in the quiet moments of your life, you'll find that it grows deeper and more abundant with each passing day. So go ahead, take a moment to shut up and be happy, to let yourself be filled with the simple joy of being alive, of being present in this moment. And know that by doing so, you're not only enriching your own life, but you're also inspiring others to do the same. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, learning to find happiness in the present moment, no matter what the future holds. Learning to be content with what you have rather than always chasing after what you don't. Learning to appreciate the little things, the simple pleasures that make life worth living. And when you learn to do that, when you learn to shut up and savor your happiness in silence, you'll find that the world becomes a brighter, more beautiful place. You'll find that you're able to weather life's storms with greater ease and grace. And you'll find that you're able to inspire others to do the same simply by living your life with joy and authenticity. So go ahead, take a deep breath and let yourself be happy. And remember, sometimes the best thing you can do is simply shut up and enjoy the ride. Because in the end, that's what life is all about, finding joy in the journey, one moment at a time.